Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is time for part 2 of my attempt at home developing for the first time. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, there'll be a link in the description below. So everything's arrived, time to unpack it and let's see what I've got. Okay, so if we start with the Paterson starter kit that I got from Analog Wonderland first of all, it came with a set of these graduated measuring cups. This one's 150 millilitres, it's one of those, and then 2 of this larger one. This is 600 millilitres. It may be a little bit over the top, but I'm starting off with an Ilford film developing starter kit that is all pre-measured for you, which is part of the simplicity of it. But later on, when I'm buying chemicals, hopefully in larger quantities, I'm going to need to be able to sort of measure the amounts out, the different ratios, etc. So it may well be overkill, but I also bought separately a set of these 1 litre measuring jugs. There's 4 of these in a set, and they were only a couple of pounds on eBay. I figured if I've got too many, it's better than having not enough. Sticking with the chemical side of things, then I got this thermometer with the set. I'll just undo the case. Oops. So a glass thermometer there. I'll zoom in when I edit this. Which measures in both centigrade and Fahrenheit, because the temperature of the chemicals in the water as you're developing obviously is an important factor. So that came with the kit as well. I may well replace that at some point with an easier to read digital thermometer just to make things a little bit simpler. But for now, I think that'll work very well. The next thing the kit came with is a couple of clips. These are to hang the films up to dry once you've developed them. I may well use normal bull clips to weight the other end to keep the film straight while it's hanging, but I'll go into that in more detail. These are just to hang it from above. And then whilst the film is first hung, there's a sort of set of squeegee tongs, I suppose the best way of putting it, to sort of get any excess water off the films whilst they're drying off. Don't want them leaving marks or anything like that on the negatives. To open up our film canister, when we're actually beginning the development process, to get it into the developing tank, it needs to be open. This is pretty much a glorified bottle opener. However, I purchased it simply because I had an Amazon voucher left over, so went for the posh version. But obviously, a normal bottle opener, or indeed, I believe a pair of scissors will do. And then finally, the arguably the most important bit, the actual bit we do the developing in. So this is what's known as a Paterson Tank. There are other brands available, but this is one I see used a lot, so I figured that it's got a good reputation. So effectively what this is a container that is light-proof, won't let any light in, but it allows you to pour liquids in and out. And obviously that's how we get away with developing. So if I take the lid off, there's like a rubbery lid here. Come back to that in a minute. So this piece, obviously we can pour chemicals in there, and then inside are developing reels. So there's 2 here with a sort of central column. These are to take 2 35mm films, but I understand that they can be adjusted to take one single 120 as well. I'm going to obviously have to practice getting the film onto this, because this is a process that we have to do in the dark. So I'm going to waste a film so that I can practice in the daylight and just make sure I've got the right idea. So these actually come apart for cleaning as well, but it's also how you alter them from taking 35mm film to 120. You have to kind of twist here, and it does feel a little bit like you're about to break it, but you're not, I promise. That comes apart then, but as you can see, we've got stages. So if we line it back up, oops, we can put it together onto the different size and then twist back, and now it's ready to take a 120 film as opposed to a 35mm. And just twist again, and now we have, I presume that'll loosen up slightly over time, but That's now ready to take 35mm again. So once the film is loaded onto those, they will go onto this central pillar and they will sit into the tank like so, and excuse me, lid goes on top, and once that lid is in place, that's effectively light proof. And we've got a little device here which I understand is for agitating the reels inside, which I'll talk about in more detail, and then obviously the lid on top. In terms of equipment then, that's everything. The only other thing is the light proof bag that I've got, mentioned it and features it in previous videos. So I can transfer the film, once I've practiced anyway, I can transfer the film from the little canister that it comes into onto those reels, and then once it's safely inside the Paterson tank, I can obviously take it out of the light proof bag and work in normal lighting conditions. So on to chemicals then. So this is the Ilford Simplicity kit that I ordered in the last video. Yeah, so basically I think this is going to make it nice and easy for my first go, but it means I'm going to obviously have to sort of relearn the process when I buy the chemicals in larger quantities. But there's enough here to develop two 35mm films apparently. So first of all, there's the film developer, and they keep it nice and simple. Regardless of which chemical you're using, you put this into something like the graduated filter, and you top whatever's in here, which in this case is 60ml, you top it up to 600ml, which is the size of this larger container. So you'll add X amount to this, X amount to this, X amount to this, X amount to this, but it'll always be a total of 600ml. So hopefully that takes some of the thinking process out of it for me. So yeah, film developer first of all. So this is the bit that actually does the developing, which I'll talk about in more detail when I come to do it. It's for black and white film. Obviously make sure that you get the right type. Yeah, so that'll be the developer. From there then the film is washed out, if you like, with what's known as a stop bath, which basically stops that development process. I understand that some people use just water, but again, it comes in the kit. I thought, why not? Let's do it properly if we can. Hopefully it'll reduce my chance of mistakes. So that stops the development process, and then to fix the image into place, we use Fixer, which again, slightly more in this. This is 100ml, but again, it will be topped up with water to 600ml, and this will actually fix the image in place if I've done everything correctly. And then finally, we've got what's known as a wetting agent. Now, from what I can gather, this will actually do 8 films, so you don't put all of this in. But what this is for is basically, whilst the film is drying, if any spots of water, etc., are on the negatives as you hang them up to dry, it can leave marks when they actually dry in place. So the idea of this is a bit of like a detergent. It will basically allow all the water to run away. And not an essential bit of kit, but I figured it would be useful to have, and as it say, it comes in the starter pack. Okay, I've got a roll of 35mm black and white film here. This one has actually already been spoilt, if you like. It's been exposed already, and I just use it as a bit of a test or a bit of a demonstration, if you like, for loading cameras and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to use it to attempt to put it onto the reel whilst I can see, because I won't have that luxury when I do it for real. Now, from what I can gather, once you're in a light proof environment, we would normally, so I'm just going to roll this back into the spool. We would normally use the bottle opener type device to prise the top of this cap off. I'm not going to bother for this test, because like I say, I do use it for demonstrating loading of films into cameras. But yeah, normally that would be prized off. You would also normally cut this this tongue, if you like, off, because apparently it's easier to get onto the reel without it. And inside the bag, once this is fully pulled out, you would take the end out so that the canister is not attached. So normally the end of this That's now attached to the canister, so you'd normally detach that, but again, that's something I'm going to skip for now. So let's have a go. What we've got here are, hopefully you can see these two little notches here, and this one wheel does move. So I think the idea, and this is probably where it's better to have that tongue cut off, what the idea is that we get that pushed in a little way until it makes contact with, whoops, there's two little ball bearings here and here. I don't know whether you can see those. So let's give it a go. In fact, let's actually cut the end off and make it easier for myself. I don't know why I'm really deciding to leave that on there. Okay, so give this a try. Slide it in, and then okay, well, pretty straightforward when I can see. I wonder how easy that'll be when I can't. Okay, a bit of a kink there. Whoops. Spoke too soon. Whoops. There we go. Apologies if you can hear my dogs barking. I think grandchildren are coming in and out. Okay. So yeah, normally, as I say, this wouldn't be attached still, but hopefully that's going to pick that up on the camera if I turn it the right way. The film is evenly spaced around the reel, and so obviously plenty of room for the various liquids to make contact with all the surfaces of the negatives. So yeah, in principle that looks pretty straightforward. We'll have to try it in the dark, or at least try it with my eyes closed before I give it a go for real. So there you go, I'm all ready by all accounts. A bit more practice with that film, I think, is definitely with my eyes closed, but yeah, looking forward to giving it a try. So look out for the future part 3, where I'll be taking a couple of cameras out with some black and white film in to get the shots ready to be developing. You can come with us on a photo walk. Thank you very much again for everybody subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing. It really, really does make my day, and I really, really do appreciate it. Bit of a whim, you may well have noticed my new logo, etc. For those of you that visit my website, which I'll put a link to, you'll notice I now have some merchandise available. If you'd like a t-shirt with my logo on it, then feel free. There's hoodies and that sort of stuff as well. I will be upgrading with more designs and more types of apparel as well, but take a look and grab yourself a bit of sccjono merch. Other than that, thank you very much again, and I'll see you next time.